Hello everybody. Today we are going to be painting an animation cell. Now, I've got a film that's going to be coming out later this week. It's going to be about a minute long, and it's going to be done entirely using cells. And this is one of them. I'm going to paint it, and you're going to be right along here with me so you know how to ink and paint your own cell. Now, we're starting off with a drawing, of course, and we have the acetate cell over it. I've got the registration holes for the peg bar. I've got my gloves on so I don't get fingerprints on this. You're going to need some ink. You can use any color ink you want. Traditionally, you use black ink. You can also use a Sharpie or maybe a little ball pen. I've tried that stuff. I don't like it. I think that it's not opaque enough, and I like the line of a nib pen, but it is something you're going to have to get used to. Now, hopefully my hand doesn't get in the way as I do this. We're going to first need more ink. The ink dried out in between takes. There we go. We got a tiny little eye. Boop, you see it? There we go. That's the face. We're going to come back after I've inked the whole thing. All right, now we're going to turn on the backlight, and we're going to take the cell, which is now dried with ink, and we're going to flip it over to the reverse side, because that's where the painting is done. Now we're going to paint in layers. First, I'm going to do the white. Making sure that the paint is opaque. Remember to paint in layers. Small details first, gradually working up, letting each coat of paint dry in between. Painting on the reverse side is basically a cheat that makes it so we don't have to paint in between the lines, because that would be hard, especially with animation, because you'd have to do it a lot of times. Now, when you paint on the reverse side, because the cell is clear, the paint shows through on the front side under the outline. Now, of course, if you're animating digitally, you don't have to know any of that. You just gotta know where the paint bucket tool is. Now, as for the type of paint that is applied to cells, there used to be a company called Cartoon Color that made a special vinyl acrylic that was specifically made for animation cells, but they've since gone out of business. There's now another company called Toon Tones that makes a similar vinyl acrylic that I love. I think it's great. But if you want a cheap paint, I recommend going with Apple Barrel, because at Walmart, it's 50 cents a bottle. When you're done, you should have something that looks more or less like this. Now, if you just want to make one art cell, maybe frame it up on the wall, that's really nice. And if that's all you're really wanting to do, then my tutorial is more or less just like all the other ones on YouTube that show how to make art cells. And frankly, I recommend you give those a watch, because they're great. That's how I learned how to do this in the first place. But what I'm going to do that's a little different from those people is I'm not just going to make one cell. No, because we are doing a film. And doing a film of even 30 seconds takes about this many cells. This is all the cells with their drawings and rough and cleanup, including all the layers. There's one. We got that's just an arm. So if you know how to animate on paper, I really recommend going through it. It's a bit of work to transfer everything onto cells in the manner that I showed you, especially since throughout this whole video we only made one cell, and this is upwards of 60 or 70 cells. Still, it's fantastic. You will be really happy with how it turns out. The film that I'm doing, it turned out a bit rough, but it's really my first try. Now, if you do want to make just one cell, you don't have to make up your own characters, obviously. You can make cells of your favorite cartoon characters from the movies and television. I made this one, for instance, in my free time, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. The thing about SpongeBob is that show, even when they were doing cells, they had colored outlines, which is something that I don't dabble in much. But if you would like to see how to make cells with colored lines, or even a tutorial on how to make a SpongeBob cell such as this one, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to do a tutorial on that. In our next video, I'm going to show you how to paint backgrounds, which is something I'm fairly new to, but we'll give it a shot. This is not exactly a background, but it's a title card for the film coming out later this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not going to tell you to like and subscribe because you already know to do that. This is Jacob Littman saying goodbye.